Hello everyone, welcome to Exploring Citizenship and Governance. Welcome to the next section where we talk about the executive, which is part of chapter 2.2, decision making in a representative democracy. And what you see on the screens are the proud officers of the Singapore Police Force, patrolling and ensuring that we have a safe Singapore. Under the executive is part 2 of 3 branches of governance, and these 3 branches belongs to the democratic government.
Are you ready? Let's go!
So after the legislative make new laws or they alter older ones, the executive does one thing, which is to execute the law and enforce it, which is to carry out the law. So the executive is led by the Prime Minister, the Deputy Prime Ministers and the Cabinet, including all the staff of the 16 ministries. They carry out the government policies and make sure that everyone follow the law, and runs the day-to-day administration of Singapore as well. This includes the education system, which most of you will be in. So let's take a look at the 16 ministries. Wow, there is quite a number of them. We have Ministry of Communication and Information. We have the Ministry of Culture, Community and Youth, MINDEF, Singapore. Ministry of Education, Singapore. Ministry of the Environment and Water Resource, Ministry of Finance, Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Ministry of Health, Ministry of Home Affairs, Ministry of Law, Ministry of Manpower. You have the MMD Singapore. You have Ministry of Social and Family Development, which is MSF. You have MTI, which is Ministry of Trade and Industry Singapore. Ministry of Transport. And last but not least, my favorite, the Prime Minister Office of Singapore. We shall leave that to the last. Let's take a look at the different ministries. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs, or in short MFA, it handles diplomatic relations with other nations. It runs all Singapore embassies and consulates, which is very important. Let's talk about the relationship with other countries, and it represents Singapore and international organizations such as UN, ASEAN, example. So all this deals with the relationship with other countries, which is important. Remember, one of Singapore's policies to deal with other countries are deterrence and diplomacy, and this will deal with diplomacy.
One example of our strong diplomatic ties is our passport, and it has access to 192 countries.
Next, we have MINDEF, which deals with deterrence. What it does is that it deals with national defense and security, usually receive the largest budget from the government because we spend the most on defense to make sure Singapore, well, stand a chance against other countries' military equipment. So we run the 3 branches of the Singapore Armed Forces. We have the land, the air and the sea.
Watch as our HIMARS simulate the execution of a long-range precision strike.
Next, we have Ministry of Home Affairs, which is called MHA. MHA is actually to deal with internal security. If Ministry of Defense deals with external security with other countries,
Ministry of Home Affairs deals with internal security.
so we maintain internal law and order.
Watch as the Special Operations Command's armed strike team completely overwhelm the remaining gunmen.
We also deal with disaster aid and runs the prison because remember, internal security and immigration, the checkpoint, anything that goes in and out of the Singapore, they are in charge. Ministry of Education, MOE, something that you are very familiar with. It deals with national education, while social study falls under there, don't you think so? Runs all of Singapore schools of all levels, even private schools, they do have to register under the Ministry of Education as well. Overseas private education, manage scholarships and bursaries, develop special education platforms, and that is part and parcel of what Ministry of Education does on a daily basis.
One of the most important things that Ministry of Education does is to mold the future. Let's ask some of the students who they want to be.
I want to be a singer.
I want to be an engineer.
I want to be a vet.
A childcare teacher.
Be a Google man.
Wait a minute. Before we do that, I would really appreciate it if you can give me a thumbs up, subscribe, and press the notification button. Thank you so much.
Next, we have Ministry of National Development. So besides looking at the current development, they are in charge of the forward-looking part of Singapore, where they deal with the housing of the nation and they deal with the infrastructure and maintain and protect Singapore environment. So we are not talking about the environment now, we are talking about environment in the future. How about coastlines, right? Ministry of Transport is MOT or MOT. It's building and maintain all forms of public transport and transport infrastructure like your roads, bridges, underground passages. So they oversee and regulate all forms of private transport in the land, sea and air, like your air transport like Grab. We are talking about private hire transport as well.
Sometimes Ministry of Transport also have to regulate new technologies such as drones, and in this case, new laws might actually have to be created.
Next, we have Ministry of Trade and Industry. It promotes and develops Singapore trade and business opportunity and economic growth. Economic growth is very important to Singapore as this is one of our main bread and butter. So we have an entire ministry dedicated to it, and it is to attract foreign investment and create jobs. Not just any kind of jobs that are suitable for Singaporeans of different levels of skills.
Well, this is not said by me. We have to ask our founding fathers.
You had Deng Xiaoping, then you saw a country without natural resources, but relatively prosperous, peaceful, and people contented. And you notice that we had many investments from outside. Investments bring in foreign markets, foreign technology, and they train our people to managerial and other jobs.
Next, we have Ministry of Manpower. So besides creating jobs, you need to manage the other side, the manpower side. It implements all policy regarding local or foreign workforce, like the law that requires company to hire Singaporeans for every foreigners they hire. That is one of the many policies. So they oversees labor, immigration issues, work pass, student pass, your passport perhaps, and ensure fair business practices among employers and employees. So next we have Ministry of Finance. We are talking about all matters related to finance matters. This is perhaps one of the more important ministries when we talk about the money. Ching. So it oversees all the operation of all the banks in Singapore and fines banks as well if they violate any laws. So they regulate the currency values, interest rates. This is perhaps one of the more important ministries that ministers have to go through in order to become the next Prime Minister. Ministry of Health oversees all public hospital, clinics, medical workers, professionals, and all other public health facilities or workers. They are talking about polyclinics and maybe even private clinics as well. They are all fall under the Ministry of Health. And national health issue like the very pesky and dangerous COVID-19. This will fall under the Ministry of Health. But it's so big that we need an inter-ministry cooperation for it because it no longer subsumes under Ministry of Health solely.
The task force which Kim Yong and I co-chair are empowered to decide on the critical public health measures. So we decide as a team. Right? We have a team of ministers together with us on the task force, and each time we arrive at a decision, we keep the others in government updated on our decisions.
Next, we have Ministry of Communication and Information, MCI. It oversees all media and info communication issues in Singapore, media censorship and ratings like where you get all the M18, NC16 and R21, all those censorship, they all fall under MCI, and all the public archives and library, they all fall under that as well. So for example, if certain film or certain media could not be shown in Singapore because of various reasons, or it could be perhaps detrimental to the political scene in Singapore, then it will be banned. Ministry of Environment and Water Resource. You know that water is super important to Singapore. Perhaps it is considered one of the lifelines of Singapore. So it's in charge of all the water resource and preservation of the environment. They runs the NEA, National Environment Agency, and the Public Utility Board, PUB. Besides running them, they also talk about national education, about the new water, which is recycled water from our wastewater, and they talk about water conservation. This is not just dealing with the students per se. We're talking about natural education, is also talking about the public in general.
Water Wally, Sally and Ran returned to join Raju and Terry. They cheered when they saw the pond filled to the brim with water. The end. I wonder what I would do if I didn't have water. Thanks to Water Wally and Sally's quick thinking, Terry is safe!
We have the Ministry of Culture and Community and Youth, MCCY. It regulates and promotes the arts in Singapore because we know that the arts is perhaps not so favored and promoted as say, the economy. So we need to have a ministry for that, and it's to protect Singapore history and heritage as well, promote the growth of sports, support the encourage youth activities and participation, and foster racial harmony and rootedness in Singaporeans. So you realize that somehow culture, community and youth are all subsumed under one ministry. If food for thought, why would 3 very important things be only considered
As one ministry.
Is it that important? Think about it. Perhaps that will change in the future. Ministry of Social and Family Development oversees all social services and social welfare. It gives aid to the handicapped, youth guidance, women affairs, gambling safeguards and family policy, deal with all kinds of social matters and especially family as a basic building block in Singapore. You have the Ministry of Law or Min Law. I like to call mini law perhaps. Regulates all forms of legal practices in Singapore, provide legal aid and input to other ministries, propose bills and programs because some proposed bills may have some legal implications, so it might be even perhaps be sued by people if it goes wrong. So you provide legal aids, legal and community mediation, regulates all foreign registered lawyers. So anyone who wish to practice law in Singapore will have to go through this ministry as well. We can't just allow anyone, any Tom, Dick and Harry to enter, right? Last but not least, my favorite ministry is called the Prime Minister Office. So it oversees all other ministries, the ministry to rule them all.
One ring to rule them all.
And runs the other national agencies such as Corrupt Practices Investigation Bureau or CPIB, which is a very important agency because this bureau is in charge of perhaps one of the more important areas where we talk about Singapore being a country that has the least
Corrupt practices?
This has a very big part to play with it. Next one, we have Cyber Security Agency, CSA, Election Department, ELD, very important when we talk about other parts. You also have National Climate Change Secretariat. You have National Population and Talent Division, where they start to measure the population of Singapore and perhaps it plan for the future every 5-10 years. National Research Foundation, National Security Coordination Secretariat, Public Service Division, or the Public Service fall under this, and Smart Nation Program Office, Sniper.
That's the end of the chapter, The Executive. Thank you and have an awesome day. Bye bye.